Casual Magic has been brought to you by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can get cool stuff. Use the code CASUAL to get 5% off of your sale. And then also by Coalesce Apparel, where you can get really cool t-shirts and stuff, and use the code CASUALMAGIC to get 10% off your sale. And by Architect, a deck hosting website that doesn't really sell anything, but they like me and I like them, so kindly use them. And now, on to the show. Hello and welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of Magic the Gathering. My name is Shivam Bhatt, and Casual Magic was brought to you by Coalesce, Cool Stuff, and Architect. Today, my special guest is Cal from Playing with Power, a very large cEDH channel on the YouTubes, and also frequent Twitterati poster on the EDH side of Magic the Gathering. My dear friend here joined me today to just kind of talk about these games that we play. Hey, Cal, how's it going?
Hey, Shivam, it's great to be here today.
Yeah, but then once I start talking to you about, like, I don't know, Winota stacks, then we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, nothing really defines the spirit of the EDH format like cheating a ton of creatures into play that don't let your opponents play the game. That's how I feel.
I've always wondered if the people who were deeply, deeply angry about Iona being banned were also just top tier, high level stacks players who were like, why would you take away my chance to lock people out of the game? And I'm like, we're taking away your chance to lock people out of the game. That's the point. And they're like, but they want to be locked out. That's why they're playing. And I'm like,
Yeah, honestly, Shivam, if my opponent didn't want to be locked out of the game, they shouldn't have brought mono green to the table. I mean, they're just asking to be Iona at
seems
that
fair
point.
and reasonable, right? Like, how dare you want to do actions on your turn during your at sorcery speed?
Yeah, kind of overrated actually.
What kind of magic is that? I guess you're gonna play your call rooms.
Casting Rishkar's expertise at my table? I
How
don't think so.
dare you? I love that card.
I also love that card.
I also love Rishkar just in general.
Same.
Like, turn all your things into Lana War Elves. It's great. I love me a good Monodork. It's like, green is just my happy place in Magic. I just want to tap land and put big stupid things into play, which is why I'm enjoying Brothers War so much, because it lets every color be green.
Yeah, it just every single color you can play this absolutely massive creature. There you go.
Yeah, it's like, you know what I've always wanted to do? 9 drops.
Here's a 9-drop 7/6 with haste. Go crazy.
Yes, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah,
Here for
exactly.
it.
Exactly.
So I wanted to have you on because of the fact that you are part of one of the biggest collectives on Magic Twitter in terms of like this Playing with Power group and the stuff that you guys do on YouTube, which is uploading a lot of gameplay footage and that sort of thing. And I had no idea how big your audience was, but it's apparently huge. So I'm really curious, like, how long have you guys been doing videos and stuff and putting them up there?
Yeah, Playing with Power proper has been going for, I think, nearly 3 years now, if not a little bit longer than that. It actually started out as a cube channel, which is really funny. It was just some buddies messing around. They're like, we're going to make some cube videos. And then those all flopped because people don't watch
I
people that
only watch cube videos. Thank you.
Yes, but I'm sure you watch LSV and Caleb play cube. I don't think you watch anyone you've never heard of play cube.
That's fair. I will watch LSV, Reed, Caleb, and like Andrea Mengucci play cube. And that's probably about it.
Exactly, Shivam. So here you find the problem.
That's fair. That's fair. Fine. I accept.
So if you ever scroll back to the very beginning of the Playing with Power channel, I think our first ever uploaded video was like top 5 cube cards from Hour of Devastation. It's real quality content right there.
Yeah, because Hour of Devastation was
cube staples everywhere to be found.
I think Hour of Devastation, I mean, I loved playing it in limited, but it might be one of my least favorite just mechanical sets ever. Like,
That's fair.
Afflict sucked.
Afflict
It's
was, like, something that always, like, read so well, and then, like, in concept, it just felt bad every
yeah,
time.
it's like, "Oh, hey, what if you didn't block? Ever? What if there was no point?" And I'm like,
Exactly.
"I guess, I mean, that's a philosophy." Like,
Look,
it's
it's
an
just a
ethos.
it's a 1-2 with prowess and Afflict 2. What could
Yeah.
go wrong?
Oh, Jesus. Oh. Or that stupid, like, clone with eternal eyes, or no, the thing
Yep.
that had, like, draw cards equal to its power and then
Oh,
discard
oh,
2.
Champion of Wits. Unfortunately, Shivam, Champion of Wits is probably one of my favorite, like, standard cards of all time.
It's a
I had
good
a I had
card. It's
I had a
there's
big love affair with that card.
that card is a house. There's
It
no
really
joke.
is.
It's like,
It
but
really
it's
is.
also like that whole set was kind of miserable.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I mean,
It
and I say
it
this as
really
somebody
was.
who drafted a lot of Amonkhet,
Mhm.
because turns out I also just really like Hooded Brawler and, like, exerting and hitting you for, like, 3 or 5 or whatever a turn. It's a
Yeah,
good
why
time.
not?
Very
Just
healthy magic.
good old-fashioned magic.
You know what? If you wanna turn things sideways and never look back, Amonkhet Block was the home for you.
Yep,
But I'm sure
exactly.
everybody is thrilled to be hearing about magic from 7
Our
years
our
ago
thoughts
or
our
whatever.
thoughts about Hour of Devastation Limited and its the specifics of its mechanics. Welcome to Casual Magic, everybody. It's
Hour of
great to have you here.
Hour of devastation of all the damn sets.
Exactly. It was a terrible place to start, but, eventually, kind of almost in the same vein, on a whim, they were like, "We've been playing the cEDH games. We've got some equipment around. What if we record them?" And, it was very suddenly much more successful than anybody ever anticipated it to be, and then, ever since then, save a few weeks here and there, we've uploaded 1 to 3 gameplay videos per week.
That is nutty.
Yep.
That is insane amount of editing.
Yes, it is.
And, just insane amount of gameplay, for God's sakes, having to actually
Yes,
play the
yes, it
damn
is.
games. Like, CEDH games are not like, people like to say, "Oh, yeah, it's only 5 turns in a CEDH game." I'm like, "Yeah, but each of those turns is 4 hours long."
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
Even then, there's a copy pasta that goes around some of the cEDH Discord servers that's basically like, "Hey, everybody, I'm looking for a game. We can shuffle for 20 minutes, look at our hands for 20 minutes, and then play Magic for 5 minutes." And,
I mean,
it
in in
some
Flash Summer, that kind of was.
exactly, and, like, in some of the ad nauseum games that these days, that's, like, pretty true too, but that's cEDH has a bad rap for always being really fast games, but
Well,
some of
it's
them
like
are pretty long.
CEDH feels a lot like Vintage in that they're both feel like, one of those, like, Risk 2210 type of games where it's like, there's only 5 turns in this game. Each turn is immensely complicated and
Yep,
will take a goddamn forever to
yep,
resolve.
exactly.
Like, I remember watching, like, I've seen vintage games where literally before the first before, like, when one player has taken their first turn, before the second player has even legally entered the game, there's already, like, 12 things on the
Yeah,
stack countering each other
exactly,
back and forth, and you're like, "What? You haven't even started, like,
exactly.
the dude
Nothing has
hasn't
actually
got, like,
happened yet.
no land. It's not in the game." But, I mean, cEDH, sometimes it feels like that, where
It
it's like,
definitely can, yep.
you've just got free counter spells in every direction and free exiles and tell me this. The other 4 free spells that were released in, Ikoria Commander ill-advisedly, beyond just the free counter spell, do they show up?
Um, Deadly Rollick is currently having a resurgence. People
That's
cut
the,
it out of
exile one,
that's
right?
the exile one, yeah, pay it costs 4, it's an instant, yeah.
Yeah, the black
It's
one,
the black
exile.
one, it exiles target creature. That one fell out of favor for a while because people were like, "Why would I want to take 4 damage off of
Who
my
plays
ad
a creature?
nauseum
Yeah.
if I" well, yeah, exactly, and, well, that's part of it too, but, eventually people were like, "Wait, free spells are good. I should be playing a free creature removal spell."
I
Um,
love the white one that lets your whole team just kinda, like, indestructible for free.
yep.
I'm like, "Oh, yes, yes, let's go."
Yeah, but how do you feel about the green one?
Isn't the green just is it I forget, the green specifically a one-sided fog?
I think it's just a one-sided fog.
It's
It's I have to think about it every time it comes up. I'm like, "What does the green one do?"
it's like, "Oh, yeah, that also exists." It's like the red force.
Yep,
You're like, "This
exactly.
is a thing that
This
exists."
technically exists. This makes
It's
2 1/1 elementals or something like that.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
Oh god, it's the worst possible. I mean, it is so bad that card.
Exactly.
Um, but yeah, God, I need to know. Hang on. This stupid free okay, because like Ikoria was honestly a really good commander set. Like I love Flawless Maneuver. I loved Call the Copper Coats. Let's see, Fierce Guardianship. That's a
I'm
good
also really silly. The red one is also a mega staple.
the
Red one
red
is
oh,
just
deflecting SWAT.
yes, deflecting
Hmm.
SWAT is pretty much just as much as a staple as Fierce Guardianship is
Oh,
because
obscuring haze.
obscure.
Prevent all damage that would be dealt by turn by creatures your opponents control.
Woo!
That's
Really
it's
brought out
cute.
the stops on that one.
It's look, I guess they were like,
I
and the
yeah,
green one.
exactly. Yeah, it is cute. When it's in the same cycle as a free exile spell, a free negate, even like a free redirect, and even like for casual play, free indestructible at instant speed. That's pretty
Dude,
good too.
that's actually actively amazing is what it is. It's like
Exactly.
in my soldiers deck, that has saved me so many times. Yeah, Force of Rage. Create 2/3/1 trample haste tokens with create 2/3/1 elementals with trample and haste. Sack them at the beginning of your next upkeep. But what you can't play it for free unless it's on your on like it's like you can only play it for free on their turn. So you're making like three like two blockers, I guess.
Yeah, you can. Ooh, you
Congratulations.
can really win combat. Woo!
The
It's
card
like
sucks so much.
if you could play it for free on your own turn, I bet cEDH Winota would play it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, if you
Unironically,
play for free on your own turn, it would actually be a good card.
yeah, just
Or,
hit people.
like, I don't know, if I was gonna have a red one, I would have been, like, free direct damage.
Yeah.
Or, like, even just do 4 damage split, like, give me a Pyroclast no, the
Woo!
Pyrotechnics. Give me a
Yeah,
Pyrotechnics where it's just, like, split 4 damage however you want.
yeah, just do it for
Yeah,
free. What could
like
go
that
wrong?
that seems like if just say you can only target creatures if you have to,
Yeah,
and then boom, I would play that. People would play that. It would be a card that's real. But Force of Create Crappy Elementals is not a card that's real. Um,
exactly.
boy,
I
Drannith
agree with you.
Magistrate, man.
I don't like to think about that card, Shiva. I don't like to. That one gives me nightmares. As a guy who almost exclusively plays commander centric commander decks. Um,
People are always like, "You gotta ban Drannith Magistrate," and I'm like, "Well, A, I don't ban cards, but B,
wait a second. I thought you guys got like a vanity ban every 6 months. I thought that was like one of the benefits
I
of being
used up
on the.
all of my vanity ban equity to get rid of Iona and like I don't know whatever your favorite card is. Um,
Exactly.
but like I'm like Drannith Magistrate dies to a stiff breeze. And we're in a format that has the most wraths per capita. And okay, yeah, it does suck to not be able to pull out your commander or to like it stops you from doing random things. Yeah, that's miserable. Use your swords to plowshares or bolt or terror or any of the other like I don't know assassin's trophy or whatever putrefy random crap. We've got a million of these damn removal
Yep.
spells that kill it,
Yep.
and it's in white, so it dies.
Exactly. What are they gonna do? Play their free instant speed indestructible spell from their hand?
That was in the same
That was in
set.
the same set.
But the thing is, though, cards like Drannith need to exist
Yeah.
because I, I I've come around to the fact that there's some amount of stoppage that needs to happen. You
Mhm.
need to, especially as commanders get stronger and stronger, and partners get more and more frequent, and like WotC starts letting us do more lunatic things. Like Cal, I'm telling you, I have changed my position so far on Commander in terms of like, I guess hateful cards not only have to exist to like okay, no, now they actively need to exist because we need to put a stop to this. Like, we need anti dockside cards. We need anti like that new random goblin that comes into play, the one that like punishes you for sacrificing artifacts.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
clean. But
Yeah,
like,
just sacrificing people for using treasures? Get them.
yeah, hit him. Like, but freaking Drannith Magistrate is an important card to stop people from shenanigans. And we need that because Wati just keeps putting dumb stuff in the command zone over and over again forever.
Exactly. Yeah, and some amount of counterplay is definitely healthy. Like I personally don't like Draenith Magistrate, but that's because I'm
No.
selfish and I always like to cast Malcolm on time. But It's a fine card. It's like there's a difference in between like this little 2-drop 1/3 that says you can't cast your commander and you like can't cheat out free stuff.
Yeah, like, okay, and it also
And
stopped, like, Reanimator, right? Like,
exactly. There's a difference in between like that and Ionia, which
yeah.
very often reads target player can't play the game anymore. Hope
Mhm.
someone lets them out of this hell.
Exactly, like, there's a very large difference. Like, I think there's such a big and epic monstrosity level difference between you don't get to play and you can't cast the one spell.
Mhm.
Like, if you can't cast your commander, okay, like, all of my decks care about their commander, that sucks. Like, but then
It is in the name of the
I
format now,
I
you know.
can still play the rest of my cards,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I can still play Magic and work on getting rid of that stupid thing. Um, whereas, like, real lockdown stuff is just like turbo staring at each like, turbo staring at each other, right? Like, that's real fun. That's what we've come here to do.
I like putting rule of law into play. You can only cast one spell per turn, and then I like to follow that up with Spirit of the Labyrinth. Now you can only draw one card per turn.
It's like
I I put out my dampening matrix. No more activated abilities. We're all having so much fun right now.
it's like playing Flux with the base rules. Draw 1 card, play 1 card. Like,
I haven't
that's
thought
it.
about that game in a second.
Man, I played a lot of Flux in college, but, like, yeah, that's a lot of what Stacks feels like. It's like, we're playing Flux now.
Mhm.
We're playing draw 1, play 1. That's
Yep.
the end of that story.
Stacks really does. It's some stack pieces are it can get pretty annoying, but a lot of the stack pieces are really just like, all right, we're all just gonna sit down and we're gonna play some slow, measured, entirely fair Magic the Gathering.
What do you think about Dauthi Voidwalker?
Um, I think Dothy Voidwalker is a very powerful Magic the Gathering card that has a fascinating effect on games that
Yeah.
people don't respect enough.
Yeah, it's that's a one that's a 3/2, for 2 with shadow. We could randomly shadow.
Yeah, just
Um,
randomly shadow, yeah.
and then if a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere inside instead, exile it with a void counter, and then you could tap sack it and choose an exiled, card and play it without paying its mana cost. So, like, this is a card that a lot of people have just, like, also hated on. But I'm like, that it it's bad if you're playing it in, like, a freaking Turgrid deck, but if you're sitting down against Turgrid, you're sitting down against Turgrid.
You made that decision. You
Like,
could have,
we know there's no surprises here. We know what
yep,
this table is going to do.
yeah, exactly. It's a fascinating card. I think a lot of people miss that, all Dothy Voidwalkers can access all cards with void counters on them. It's something that comes up in cEDH games quite often because every black deck plays Dothy Voidwalker because it's a hate and value piece in one. Um, but it
Choose an
just
exiled card an opponent controls the Voidwalker.
counter on it, yeah.
An opponent
So
owns, which
yes, an
means that
opponent owns. So you can't
if
recast your own stuff that has void counters
yeah,
on
but that
them?
means that if there's, like so you're saying if there's, like, 3 Voidwalkers on the table
Yeah.
and
It's like a standoff. 'Cause it's just like anybody can cast those cards.
but so, yeah, so when a card dies, you exile it and put a void counter on it, and so as long as anybody's got a Voidwalker, they can sack theirs to play your thing.
Yeah.
That's that's hilarious.
It's pretty awesome.
I get the feeling they did not anticipate that one.
No, most likely not, no.
They're probably not thinking that there would be people playing 3 Voidwalkers at a time.
Exactly. Yeah, they probably anticipated they were like, "Since we're putting this in Modern Horizons," I think it was, Modern Horizons 2,
Yep,
like, maybe
that
people are
fair and
playing
balanced set.
exactly. Maybe people are playing multiple of these and you can, recycle something with your later Voidwalker, but that it happens very often in cEDH games specifically, which is very funny to me.
So, why do you play CDH?
Why do I play cEDH? Yeah, I had the classic path to playing cEDH that I think a lot of people who play cEDH do.
Which is
Wh-
that your vintage deck had nowhere else to go, so you needed to find people to prey on?
No, no, it was because I said, how can I pub stomp people most
You know
effectively?
what? My joy in life is in smashing your face.
I don't want anyone to have any fun.
What if
No,
I was the only one who had fun?
Exactly. No, it was just like the classic natural arms race that a lot of EDH pods went through. Except eventually everyone else that I was playing with kind of hit a ceiling and I wanted to keep going. And I found the competitive EDH subreddit, and it just kind of was history from there. I just for a while I was like a pretty spiky kid. I wasn't ever that great at Magic. I have exactly like one RPTQ appearance under my belt. Um,
I have won two FNMs.
Woo! There we go. That's pretty good.
Yeah, they were 25 years apart. Yeah,
Ah,
I won one in alliances with a sealed deck, and I won one in like a Kaladesh block or something like that,
that's
or maybe not
incredible.
Kaladesh block. I don't know, some other random limited event.
Yep. Yeah, I won a single PPTQ that like 15 people were at and technically got a qualification for an RPTQ that I couldn't use because I had to go back to college.
Real gamers
Exactly.
here.
Exactly. But it's just it really scratches a spikier itch for me, while also giving a lot of flexibility, because there's a ton of options for commanders because the commander format itself has a lot of variety built into the rules. We're playing singleton. We get to have these things in the command zone that give us all these color restrictions and stuff. And so it gave me a very intriguing, spiky outlet to play the game, all while not actually being that spiky. That's the funniest thing about it. It's like very often when I'm playing CEDH, it's just like almost as casual of a mindset when I'm like, jamming my Savala bulk rares green deck as I love. Um but it's just like, yeah, we're playing these like crazy cutthroat plays, but we're actually just like, sitting around and drinking and talking and whatever, and somebody happens to put an ad nause onto the stack and we're like, oh no, the game's over.
I think I think there needs to be a reconfiguration in how we talk about this,
Yes,
because I
certainly.
don't think that the dichotomy of
Casual.
CDH is hardcore and
Exactly.
super
Yeah,
intense all the time and casual is not works.
exactly. Yes,
Because
no,
I've
it
played
doesn't at
casual
all.
games that are super intense as well,
Uh-huh.
and I've seen a lot of beer and peanuts, CDH games. I think we need to recontextualize this in terms of interaction,
Hmm.
in terms of like I think the new definition I'm kind of falling on is one game is played on the table in your command step, like in your attack step, in your like sorcery speed stuff, and the other is played on the stack, right? Like CDH is definitely where you're. I mean, it it's like when you see things like Swan Song, or the new stupid counter from Offer You Can't
Yeah,
Refuse,
offer you can't refuse. Yeah, when
right?
Swan Song and offer you can't refuse are like staple playables, it tells you a bit about what spells people are trying to cast.
Right. Like Swan Song has long been a staple in Commander too, but it's also, I mean, like casual,
Oh, for
but
sure,
it's
yeah.
also like not. It's countering an enchantment, an instant, or sorcery is like, what do you need to counter for that? Um, because it's very, very specific, right? But there's a lot of obviously very big, like sorceries and instants that come into play, and obviously you want to stifle and shut them down. But like Offer You Can't Refuse, counter your spell, give them two treasures is something like lower power tier does not want to do. Like,
No,
I don't
you
want
don't
to
wanna get
pay you.
exactly, you don't wanna give your opponents mana. Never.
Whereas in like, CDH, it's like give you two treasures instead of a dockside. Sold.
Yeah,
Let's
okay,
go.
okay, yeah, exactly. You can have 2 you can have 2 treasures instead of literally winning the game with this game
Yeah.
action. There you
Like
go.
it's
Go have fun.
yeah, two treasures instead of getting your consult off, two treasures instead of your ad nod. Sure. That's a deal I will take all day long forever, right?
Mhm.
It's just you end up seeing a lot of cards in CDH tiers that are just not relevant or real for
Mhm.
like my tier of play, right?
Yep, exactly.
I don't know. It to me, I think that we need to figure out a way. Like I've long said this. I'm glad CDH exists because people need a place to play,
Yep.
and pub stomping is There's a few people who go out of their way to go and crush people, but for the most part, it's just a matter of I wanted this game, you wanted that game, and we
Yeah,
shouldn't have been playing together.
whoops, we messed it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because conversations are hard. Like conversations like that are hard sometimes, or we had a miscommunication, and people are fallible, and
Or you lied or something, you know, like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
or in your world a 7 and in my world a 7 are not the same
not the
sevens.
same thing. You know, every deck is a 7 if you really think about it,
It
Shivam.
is because like it's we're all sevens. You just didn't tell me 7 out of what?
Yeah,
I am 7
this
out of
is
100. You're
exactly
7 out of 3.
this is my 7 out of 5 deck versus your 7 out of 20. Who will win?
I mean, like I God, dude, every time I think about like what would my ideal commander be? And my ideal commander game would be people just taking a box of a set and building a deck out of it.
Yeah.
Like you were stuck playing crappy 5 mana disenchant and like sorcery speed removal. You know, like that's the sort of thing that like give me mega sealed is what I want. Right? Like I don't know. It feels to me like Commander, and this is a WotC problem, not a you or me problem.
Yeah, for sure.
The WotC has, by sending the Eye of Sauron on us, has now made it impossible for people to just have bargain bin
Yeah.
trash tier decks that are just like, here's every card I love.
Yep, exactly.
Like Mahamodi Jin. I can't in good conscience play my favorite card in Magic in Commander because
No.
if I put out a 5/6 flying vanilla, you're going to laugh at me before you like, I don't know, commandeer it and then sacrifice it or something. Or
And then
you wouldn't
you
even
get
use
to
2
watch your
card on it. You'd be
dreams
like,
die
"That's
before
cute.
your eyes.
You can have
I
that."
was like, all right, yeah, you can have that. You can have that, Shivam.
Yeah, it's gonna be all right. Everybody ignore him. He's playing, pasta tier. He's playing cream puff decks. It's fine.
Not even lasagna tier. Like the lasagna hasn't been
No.
baked yet.
Yeah, this is uncooked lasagna tier.
Uncooked
This is a box
lasagna
of
tier.
lasagna noodles tier. This is still in your grocery.
Grocery shelves tier.
Yeah, this is cream puff, man. Like, I don't know. It irks me. And sometimes Commander fans just don't have a sense of perception
Mhm,
and a sense of not necessarily perception, but not perception, perspective.
mhm.
We don't have a sense of perspective. We don't think outside of our own tables. We don't think in terms of the grand scheme of what people are like. Oh, yeah, it's fine at my table. I'm like, yeah, it's fine at your table. That's
This isn't your table.
the world is not your
Yeah,
table.
exactly. Yep.
Like you're like, look, dude, at my table we like to play turbo lockout standstill decks. I'm like, good,
Not me.
rad. God bless. Enjoy
Yeah,
your
have
like
fun. Have fun with it.
you
I don't
take
want to
your
deal with it.
standstill and or you play your fish and then your standstill and then just like you say, okay, what do you want to do, bro? Here's my Remora, here's my standstill.
I wanna play Standstill in a CDH deck.
I I think standstill in CDH would be
That would be
hilarious.
very funny.
It would be so funny because people would just be like, it would just be a standoff. You guys would be just staring at each other, pointing guns at each other's heads, like, all right, which of you is gonna break it? Who's
Yep.
gonna go?
Of course. Well, that's like always the problem with those kind of deck because somebody would just eventually be like, "All right, I'm gonna run this tiny little thing into it, and then I'm gonna win the game," and everyone would be like, "Hey,
We
wait a
have an
second!
agreement.
Hey, wait a second! Cal playing standstill through the game. Oh,
Oh god, you king maid! How dare!
exactly. No, I don't.
We're playing a multiplayer
We
game,
don't talk
people.
about king making anymore, Shiva. The
We're playing a
CDH
multiplayer
community.
game. There's politics. That's the whole point.
Exactly. It just
You
happens
talked
sometimes.
like I think my 2 least favorite words in all of Magic are threat assessment. Like when
Threat
people are just like,
assessment.
"Oh, you're bad at threat assessment." I'm like, it's an emotional game and I'm a human. I'm just going off of feelings, man. I don't care. But it's like, but why are you
This- and
attacking
this
me? Because you attacked me last game. That's why.
and this is why, my friend, you do not play CEDH.
No, hell no. Are you kidding? I would like you cannot play an emotion driven game at a logic driven table.
Yep.
Where like at a CDA table, you got to turn on your friends because
Yep.
who
Exactly. It
cares?
is
I'm here to kill you.
technically the correct thing to do.
Yeah, like if you're sitting there and you haven't drawn a land for 4 turns, I'm going to kill you.
Yep.
Like,
Exactly.
that's the point,
Exactly.
right?
I'm going to kick you while you're down. Yes, I have attacked you 6 times in a row. You are the only black deck at the table. You have Adnaz in hand. Oh
Mm,
yeah, that's very fair. I'll take the 6.
right. Whereas if I'm playing at, like, a table and, players A, B, and C all get their Soul Ring on turn 1, I'm just gonna tell player D to go fetch their Soul Ring out from their deck and put it on play. Guess what? It's not legal, but it's also this is the tier I play at. I don't care. I just don't
Yep.
want them to be sitting there not having the fun either.
Yep. Exactly.
Like, that wouldn't fly at a cEDH table.
No, not at all. It is fascinating how many of these issues can boil down to how hard communicating with other people is. Even like what you were mentioning, like all the way earlier, like you wish there was a better way that we could talk about like big heavy quotes like casual commander versus not versus but and competitive
Yeah, like,
commander
I think
when the
I've
line is pretty blurred when we're using those terms.
I really think that one of the worst things cEDH had was calling themselves cEDH
That is
and not
correct.
something else.
Exactly. Like pretty much by the time that the community actually got like big enough to start thinking about those things,
It
like
was too
that
late.
is what it was called. The r/competitive EDH subreddit existed and it was popular. And you said I play cEDH, I play competitive EDH, and that's just like that is the shorthand moniker that has ended up being the term that is not exactly accurate, unfortunately.
Yeah, but the part of the problem is also that when you say things like that, you get a lot of connotation that goes along with it.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's like competitive and casual have meaning, and they have meaning beyond just like I'm playing 7 drops versus I'm playing 2 drops. They mean like and you get a lot of pejorative definitions that go along with that. Like people like to sneer at each other, like, "Oh, look at you, Spikies, just trying to spike the game all the time and win on like I shuffled forever and you just won."
Shivam circa 2016.
Shivam circa 20 what yesterday or whatever, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, yeah, like all you psychopaths, it's like,
Yep.
whereas like, and the other side, obviously, the very common flip side of, you meandering idiots just sitting there and dribbling and being fed mush on your like,
Don't you
old man
know how
nursing
you
home tables.
really play Magic the
Yeah, like
Gathering?
look at you not even playing Magic. Like that one dude who just keeps telling me to that there's someone who keeps complaining to me that nobody wants to play Commander with him, and I'm like, okay, what do you play? He's like, I like to play my favorite Legacy and Vintage deck, and I bring it over to Commander, and I'm like, what is it? Mono Blue Control. I'm like, okay,
Yep.
and he's
Okay.
like,
Sure.
yeah, I have no creatures, and I have like 27 counter spells, and I'm like, hmm, hmm.
I wonder why
Uh,
people are not having an
and you're
enjoyable
saying you're having
experience with
trouble
that.
at a 4-player multiplayer game getting people to come and play with you. Why do you think it's like, oh, I don't know. It just this is the deck I have. It's a casual deck, and I'm like, it's a casual deck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, okay, let's go. And you're like, look, I just enjoy not letting you play. I'm like, how can you stop my fun? And I'm like, I'm not trying to stop your fun. I'm trying to redirect your fun
I'm
to a
trying
place
to
with other people who would
just
also
go
like to have that
go
kind of
go
fun.
do yeah, exactly. Go play with people who actually enjoy playing Magic the Gathering that way.
Yeah, I'm like, look, I'm not saying
Ah,
there are people out there who enjoy having lengthy counterspell duels and having joy, like sitting and just like staring at each other and figuring out who's going to pull the trigger and then winning with like a Mishra's Factory 45 turns later. Um,
exactly.
that's
Love it.
rad.
Love a good control mirror in my
You
time.
know what? I will watch control decks all day long. I will never ever
Never play
play
them.
one. It's like I love it. I love watching that kind of like just tension. But then
Yep.
like it oh I've had a lot of games like that in Brothers War, honestly, where they've been just basically we're staring at each other. We've removed everything on the table, but we've got like 2 9 drops that can't fight into each other, and we're just gonna try to see who mills out. And I'm like, guess what? I put 43 cards in my deck, bitch. And they're like, no. Um, yeah, because I don't bother cutting to 40 anymore. I
No,
just
for
don't. I
sure.
don't care.
Just here's my 60 card limited deck. What could go wrong?
You know what? I didn't come here not to play cards.
Exactly. I like all of these cards. They all look fun. Why not?
I
Hence
can't.
the appeal of Commander.
Yeah, right? Like, I think so many people, it bugs me. Like, I didn't realize that this was going to, like, you and I, when we sat down to do this and discuss this, I don't know, yesterday, that we were
Yeah.
going to get on show. It was like, what are we going to talk about? Oh, we're just going to talk. Well, I guess you got like, today is Shivam's rant day. And another thing.
I'm just here to help you air these grievances you have. We're nearly to Festivus. You could have just waited for that.
Yeah, right? Like, there's this thing, there's just some stuff that's like, I hate it when people are like, that's not Commander viable. I'm like, bruh, this is Commander. This is Commander. The only thing that's not Commander viable is literally like Dragon Lord Kolagon, you know, or like,
I have played Dragon Lord Kolgan in a deck, and just his second ability never
yeah,
triggered.
yeah, the first ability isn't like all your dragons get haste or something. Okay, that's
Yeah, it's
fine,
like all your dragons get haste, and then if
fair,
somebody
fine.
casts something
Yeah, the other
with the
one is
name
like
already
if
in their
it's got a
graveyard, they
name
take
and
10. Yeah.
yeah, and there's like some other
Shadowborn Apostle decks in ruin right now.
yeah, or like playing something like Jester's Cap and or not Jester's Cap, but like one of those stupid coercion type of not coercion. What is the one where you have to like go through and like take like all four copies of a card out of their deck or whatever,
Oh, yeah. I know
like
what you're talking
Stone
about.
Brain type of things.
Yeah, Stonebrain is the most
Oh my
recent
god,
one.
I need to tell you something that happened to me today.
Okay.
Okay, I was playing a game of Limited, and I had the Seraph, the Steel Seraph or whatever it is, the new Angel in play. It's a 6/6 that does crap, and it's like very very powerful card. It gives you like at the beginning of your combat, it gives another card or any of your creatures either vigilance or like lifelink or flying or something. It's great. And I was like, oh, this is sweet. Okay. And the other dude has a stone brain on the table. And I'm like, why would you even play that in a limited deck? That's weird. And then they did the coolest thing I've ever seen. They played a blue card, which is I don't remember the name yet, but basically what it does is take target creature and then that player has to put it on the top or bottom of their deck. And I was like, okay, you bounced my thing. That sucks. Fine. Next turn I'll play it again. It'll be great. And then they're like, Stone Brain, type in the name of that card. And I'm like,
Oh, oh no.
oh,
What is it?
oh no, I just got had. Oh no.
Ah,
And I was like, that is the biggest brain play. That is the stonest brain play. I was like, so I couldn't even be mad, Cal. I was just like, you are doing magic right. You have found a way to use an unplayable card to do something dumb and ruin my life.
your opponents figured it out.
I love that. Um, but we don't want to rant about this all day. So tell me what you think about Commander right now.
Oh,
Like,
geez.
where do you think CDH is, or why do you think people are going to CDH?
Yeah. Um,
I guess that's
I
like three questions. So let's just stick to the last one.
this
Why
is
do you think players seem to be gravitating towards CDH right now?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is the kind of what I alluded to toward the beginning, like in my own journey towards CDH, in that I think there's a lot of people who maybe are looking for a bit more of a spiky or high powered outlet, or looking for that specific type of game where maybe we don't bring emotion into it as much, or maybe we are just kind of like theoretically trying to make the idealized play and those kind of actions. So I think especially for people who have some more background in 60 card or whatever and don't have as much of an outlet for it, which I know is a constant concern of the RC and the CAG.
Hmm.
Um, because everyone needs to be able to play Magic the way that they like to play Magic the Gathering, rather than trying to fit EDH into all of their little boxes.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes, you have been paying attention.
Yes, I do unfortunately obsessively consume most EDH content. Uh,
It just
and
if Magic is healthy, if other formats of Magic are healthy, then Commander is healthy.
exactly.
Because if you try to make Commander into everything, then Commander sucks. Like Commander, and you've heard me say this before, Commander is not one format, is an umbrella of formats. It's got an umbrella of children formats that come down from it. And I think there's room for all these different formats, but we cannot fundamentally change the core of what the game is, or we will lose what that game is. Right?
Yeah,
Like the
for
thing that
sure.
everybody like have you noticed like there was recent discourse about God, I hate that word so much. But there's
Discourse?
been
Never heard of them.
yeah, there's been recent like discussion about people wanting to get rid of the color identity rules in Commander.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why the one thing that Commander is going for it is that we've got this restriction. You have a general, and your deck has to work with this general. It
Yep.
has to be in colors. And someone's like, "Well, I prefer my mana to tell me. I mean, the lands in my deck should be able to tell me what I play." And I'm like, "Then every other format is great for you, or Canlander, for instance."
Yep.
But like, if you take away the fundamental pillars of what makes Commander Commander, people are like get rid of the card limit. Like, you should be able to have minimum 100, not just max 100. You should be able to have
That's
any
that's something
color.
I wish could be the case, but I'm biased and
Yeah,
I
I mean,
get
I would
why
love
it
to have
is.
like that because I
Exactly.
just there's
Give me
all,
my Battle of Wits EDH deck.
and I just don't want to cut cards ever.
Exactly. Yep.
But also, I'm like, look, dude, the things that make Commander Commander are this essential character of these restrictions that we have to deal with. If we didn't have that, we would just be playing Singleton Vintage, and it would be like, why are we doing that when we could be playing Singleton Vintage instead? Um, I don't know. I mean, I think there's like merit, and I always will hear people out, but at the
Yeah,
same time, I'm like, dude, Commander
exactly.
exists for a reason to
Yeah,
do a
the
thing.
Commander is a format that is run with a very specific philosophy from the top down, and it is currently, I think, accomplishing those goals through stuff like the singleton rule and the mana color rule, like all the rules that surround how you have to match up to your commander and all that kind of stuff. And I get why people might want to get away from that, but if I think if people want to get away from that, number one, they can just get away with it if their play group is okay with it, because that is also kind of how commander is set up.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a wide ranging change, um, but um, they can do that if they want to in the privacy of their own home. But I think that kind of stuff, that kind of want from people, does point to like their needs or wants around magic aren't actually being served by commander, and maybe they should look for something else, maybe.
Right. And I mean, but the response you always get for these things is
Yes.
like, oh, well, so you're telling me that Commander's not for everyone then, or Commander's not for me, or something. I'm like, yeah, kind of, yeah. I'm like, look, Commander is for anybody who wants to play Commander. But like, if I go to the vegan restaurant and I go looking for a bucket of chicken wings, I am going to be disappointed. And they're like, how dare you? You're not serving all your customers. I'm like, I am serving all the customers, but it's a vegan restaurant. We are giving you this food. And if you want chicken wings, this is not going to be the place for you. Anybody who wants vegan food can come here. you know, um,
We have lots of different types of vegan food.
yeah,
We just don't have chicken wings.
yeah. And it's like, well, so you're saying you're biased against? I'm like, no, that's an entirely different sentence. But it's just like you run into this stuff all the time, and it's like it's hard because I want anybody who wants to play Commander, but I don't want to give up what Commander is in order to
Mhm.
facilitate you doing that. And I think that's why I think CDH has built an interesting balance. And like
Mhm.
every time someone's like, "Oh yeah, CDH should have its own ban list," I'm like, "Go ahead." If you want to do it and can get like enough people to sign on for it,
Yeah.
God bless.
Be our guests.
Yeah, we will
Exactly.
you can have it. It's open source rules. Take it and do what you want.
Yep.
But no, we want you to do that. I'm like, no,
No.
we sure don't.
A lot of people want playing with power to do it, Shiva. Do you know who is the least interested in that possibility as possible? The
Yeah,
playing
right.
with power team.
Right? Like it's one of those things I'm like, CDH players can't agree who's like what deck is CDH, let alone what's in legal in CDH. And honestly, I think a lot of the appeal is that you're trying to play the same pool as we are, but at the most possible, like
Yes.
turned up way you can.
Exactly. I think that is definitely one of many things that do eventually bring people into CDH, is they like kind of hit that ceiling, and then there's like an appeal to how can I break this thing within these
Yeah,
constraints,
exactly.
with singleton. And how do I break a singleton format? That's already like a really big question right there.
Right.
100 card singleton
By
format.
playing 38 tutors so that you can find the
Well,
2
I
cards
mean,
that you need.
yes. Look, when demonic and mystic and worldly and vampiric were all printed so quickly into the Magic the Gathering's lexicon, then we were off to a good start on that question already. But it's an interesting one to ask
That's why
nonetheless.
gifts is never coming off the ban list. Can you imagine cEDH with gifts ungiven?
Well, we already have intuition, Shiva.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Frank, okay, do you think intuition should be banned or do you think gift should be unbanned?
I am personally not the largest fan of the signpost ban philosophy. I understand why it exists. Because if we were to actually ban all of the cards that we're kind of trying to capture with signpost bans, then the ban list would be like 2,000 cards long. However, I think in a world where gifts ungiven is a signpost or power level ban, therefore intuition should also be banned. However, as a cEDH player who loves casting intuition, I wish that gifts ungiven was unbanned. How is that for a split answer?
I mean, that's exactly it. But did you split it to like, is it a fact or fiction split or
Exactly.
a gift
Okay, so
split?
I just searched up 3 opinions from my library, and I need you to choose one of them, Shivam. You can't choose 2. I only could search for 3, I can't search for 4 right now.
Failed to find, just dumped Grizzlebrand in the
Exactly.
graveyard, don't mind me.
I have failed to find my 2 other opinions, and
Can you
these are the
imagine
2 that are going
Grizzlebrand being
directly
legal?
into the dumpster. People call for that. I see people call, like, in the cEDH sphere, I see people calling for Gristlebrand to be unbanned, and it's no offense to these people. It's always the people who are like, I have been playing Magic the Gathering since Rivals of Ixalan. I picked up Magic in Return to Ravnica. This Gristlebrand card looks really cool. And like they're familiar with all these like other cEDH staples and stuff because they somehow like jumped right into cEDH, right? They're like, Gristlebrand doesn't seem like that good. Like drawing 7 cards for 7 life. I'm like, bro, you play ad nauseum. You pay like
It's got
2 to
lifelink,
5 cards.
but
Exactly. It's got lifelink. Children of Corliss is a card that exists.
but it's also just like, guess what? You just drew 21 cards.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. 20.
Like, are you
Well,
kidding?
you yeah, exactly. 21, please. 28, please.
28, go
36
yeah, go
or
all the
whatever.
way down
What's
the line. How many do we
exactly?
want? How
I'm
far are you
gonna
willing to push this? You
and
go to
then I'm gonna play this Child of Corliss that I drew, and I'm gonna sacrifice it and gain all that 32 life back, and I'm
and
gonna
then
do it
draw
again,
another
and then I'm
60
gonna win the
cards.
game. Woo! Yes. People who think that Gristlebrand should be played in unbanned, people who think Gristlebrand should be unbanned in EDH, I would invite you to step on over to the no ban list cEDH Discord server and just like play a game or two of that, and you'll learn real
You
fast
know what?
how good Gristlebrand is in cEDH
It's
or
so funny
EDH
when people come back and
generalized.
they're like, "Yeah, we're playing no ban list Commander." I'm like, "All right, great. So who wins with Vault Key?" "Oh, we banned Vault Key." And I'm like,
Yes.
"Yeah, you banned Vault Key."
That was what we literally did. We have done done 2 no ban list episodes in Playing with Power history. And both times we just didn't put Vault Key in our decks because we were like, that technically is the correct best thing to do.
It is
Also,
the literal best win
we're
I mean,
we're
honestly,
looking
I
to
think Vault
create engaging content today. So
yeah, it's like watching 1,001 Thrasios and Tymna mirrors. It's like, okay, great. But, like, seriously, I think Vault Key might be the best win con in the history of Magic. Just, like, the easiest win con, I guess.
Mhm.
But it's also the dumbest one because it's boring, and it's like, great. I mean, they took it out like, think about it. It's so ubiquitous and stupid that they took it out of Vintage Cube. If they
Yep.
take a thing out of Vintage Cube, then you know that it's just tired. Like, Vault Key, Jesus. But,
Yep. Exactly.
I don't know, man. I'm of the opinion, though, that given the predilection towards making more treasures and making more fast mana and WotC having more spikes actually designing commander cards, which is, like, s dumb.
Hey, I think they're like rolling back on that a
I
little
think
bit with
they I
the
think
casual
they had
design
a few
change.
years, though, of,
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Docksides and Toxtrills and all this
Yeah,
other crap. I'm like,
exactly.
guys, we need to
I was listening.
look at what we're doing.
I was listening to your episode that dropped, I think this week, at the time of our recording, with Gavin
Mm,
talking about the Brothers War decks. And I think about that sometimes. I'm just like, yeah, Gavin is really involved with Commander deck design these days. Let's look at Gavin's professional play history. Oh my god.
yeah. You know what's funny as hell? You know what's funny? Gavin Verhey, Pro Tour grinder, hardcore Spike, one of my dear friends, dearest friends. One
Yep.
I love him to death. But he's also like when he started at Wizards and he started doing Commander stuff, I had a conversation with him and he was like, "Man, I what am I doing here? I this is not
Exactly.
my magic. I don't
Commander's
understand." Like,
cool and all, but
but he's like, "But I'm here for like, deep Odyssey, like madness, psychotog crap, not like freaking play my 13 drops or whatever."
exactly.
And but like between him and like Glenn Jones and Megan and whoever,
Yep.
we get like a bunch of these like very former like spiky players. I mean, it's great. They're
Yep.
cool people, but that also means like a lot of the things like one of the things there was a philosophy in Commander where they were Commander design where they were like, okay, well, these decks are moving too slow. What if we sped them up? It's like, no, 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 no,
Hmm.
no, no. You don't understand. What you're doing is pushing Commander out of Commander.
Hmm.
And like, I think the peak of that is the getting Corvold and Tulane and Alayla and just being
Look,
like an arcane signet.
those were the brawl precon decks. Those weren't commander precon decks, please.
Sure,
Nerd emoji.
if you say so. Literally, the only thing those brawl decks did right was give me a brand new art for Command Tower that I love,
Yep.
and like Corvold. I love Corvold.
Yep.
I don't care. Um,
Yep.
but
Exactly.
you know what's
But now we've got Melissa DeTora and Michelle Robertson
Melissa
and
DeTora, Pro Tour Melissa DeTora.
look, she's the technical lead for the casual play design team.
Yeah,
We got Ellie.
yeah. Okay, Ellie is like, but I've played against Ellie. She's also on the CAG with me. Her decks are no joke. Ellie's decks are like brutal. Cutthroat. Okay, like
Okay.
every time somebody is like, "Yo, you guys on the CAG are all just like pathetic casuals," and I'm like, "Bro, there's like two of us on the CAG who are like dedicated casuals.
Yep.
The rest of the people are like, Rachel Weeks who plays some hardcore decks. Rachel Agnes who was at WotC, but she used to be a vintage grinder before she
Yep.
joined the CAG. She's like one of the most cutthroat, like top end players I've ever seen." And freaking Rebel, and like just it's it's so silly because there's a lot of people. I mean, Josh Lee Kwai doesn't exactly play weak decks.
No,
He,
not
he-
exactly.
you're not going to see Josh Lee Kwai playing like
I think he plays some solid sevens.
Sedge trolls,
Exactly. Who's
but
the other dedicated casual?
Stiborski,
Okay. Yep.
Adam
That makes
Stiborski,
sense. Yep.
Stibs
That makes
is
sense.
he has been one of the most iconic like people don't remember it because he's stopped writing a long time ago, but he was the first guy to write a casual column on
Yeah,
Wizards
for daily
for
MTG. Yeah.
yeah, back at Daily MTG for like how to actually be a casual. Stibs is like one of my personal icons in terms of just like this is who I model myself after.
Hmm.
Like Stibs, Anthony Alonji, and Bruce Richard are like the three pillars of casual play for me. Um, but yeah, like I mean, Stibs makes me look like you. Right? Like I'm casual, but like Stibs is like we're playing silver bordered and we're playing like, weird like pillow 40 fun timey decks. It's like I'm gonna donate to you random crap and you're gonna expect to deal with it. More people need to play weird like I'm surprised. Does anybody play sulfuric vortex type things in CDH?
No, not really.
Because that sort of thing feels like I mean, it might be too slow, but it also seems like
That's a big part of it is like sulfuric vortex is really good when it's dealing like 2 damage to your opponent like every other turn or whatever.
yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah. I wish there could be like a burn deck in CEDH.
I wish there could be a burn deck in Commander,
Yeah,
just in
exactly.
general. Like, or even just like a pure ag. Like my soldiers at deck is a pure aggro deck, but the
Hmm.
only way it wins most of the time is Voltron
Hmm.
because it can't pure aggro out because you just Wrath or, one Blasphemous Act and it's GG for me. Um, there's a card that nobody's ever going to play in CDH, Blasphemous Act.
I love that card.
I love that card.
Not in CDH, but I love that card.
Okay, so God, there was a thought I had, like, because what do you think about land destruction? Because one of the things I've been thinking about is now that we're getting more treasures and more like
Yeah.
mana acceleration, more rocks and things, maybe Armageddon's not as bad as it used to be.
Yeah, I think lane destruction is fine. I get why people don't like it. Just as much as I also do get like why at a fundamental level it feels really bad to have your stuff countered or your creature removed or stuff stolen from your graveyard, right? Um, I think I think it gets a bad rap because a lot of times people just don't use it smartly, right? They're
Yeah,
just like, I'm gonna pop off this Armageddon while everybody's empty handed and I am too, and well, ha ha ha, we're restarting the game. Isn't this so
it's
funny,
that's a
quirky?
cyclonic rift problem.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm all for it. Some people play it in CDH. I'm all for it. I wish that people it could just be used as like like a game closer, right? Just like,
Exactly.
all right, I have a great position here. You guys are kind of down a little bit. I'm going to destroy all the lands to ensure you can't mess with me for the next turn and a half, and then I'm
And
going
then
to
I'm
get
gonna
there,
win,
kind of
right?
thing. Yeah, exactly.
Like I run targeted land destruction in every deck I have. Like your field of
Yeah, you
ruins and
kind of
strip
just
mines and
have
stuff.
to these
Yeah,
days.
because like it's not
You
even
can't
like for the stray cradle or the Mazavith or the any number of random BS utility land that's just
insert
sitting there.
Urborg plus Cobalt coffers.
Right. Or
Yep.
Yavimaya,
Yep.
or like who knows, Field of the Dead. Get rid of that damn card.
I love that card.
I
I love
love
that
that
card.
card, but I only run it in my zombie tribal deck because it
Yes, me
fits.
too. Yep, exactly. Me
Like I
too.
had it in my Titania deck for a minute, but then I was like, this feels wrong. That Titania is just making a ton of zombies.
Making a ton of
That
zombies.
doesn't feel right at all.
Yep.
Especially when you scape shift into a field of ruin and then a field of the dead, and then you're like, oh, that's gross.
Blah. Yeah, exactly. Seems pretty good to me.
um I love scape shift. Um and finally, I guess, how do we get people to not play 4 and 5 color soup all the time?
Boy. Um, how do we get them to not? I
Like,
think
how
it's
do you
hard
encourage
to.
people to not play just
Yeah,
every good card?
I think it's number one. I think if people do actually just want to be playing like good card tribal, it is going to be hard from discouraging them to do that because people playing powerful magic is fun for a lot of people, right? But I think what you have to do is give them like interesting enough options elsewhere that are like unique enough to pull them elsewhere. Because yeah, it's if you really wanted to, you could play Kenrith or an Agila and just be like, oh yeah, here's all my really good 5 color cards, right?
I love
Or
Nagila so much, but I just can't play it because it's so
yes, it's
dumb.
so good.
It's
Yeah.
just Najeela is so powerful and so on rails, and I'm like, I just wanted to play Warrior Tribal, but I realized that I built one deck and I goldfished it for 10 seconds, and I was like, oh, this is not Warrior Tribal. This is just Najeela wins dot
Yeah,
deck.
exactly.
Like if I took out
Exactly.
all these cool random cards from cons or whatever and just replace them with basic lands, she'd win faster.
She would still win. Yeah, exactly.
if
Because
I just
you could have more mana to pump into her
if
extra
I just
combat's
played
ability.
99 lands.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think a big part of it is just like giving people interesting enough options where they aren't automatically drawn to um playing all the best stuff. Because I don't know, playing cool Magic the Gathering cards is cool. I don't know. I think it's a difficult problem to solve, Shiva. Maybe that's why nobody solved it yet.
I don't even know how you ban your way out of that one. Like, yeah,
No,
we're
I don't think
banning
you.
all partners. You know how well
Yeah,
that's gonna go
exactly.
over?
No, it's not going to go over well
Are
at
you
all. I
kidding?
don't.
That's like kill the format tier.
Exactly. It's not something you can ban your way out of. Signpost bans or otherwise.
I don't like signpost bans either.
I get
I
it.
think I understand. I get
I
it,
understand the philosophy behind them.
but I don't think the experiment is played out the way they want.
I would agree with you, Shiva.
How many game
I'm
cubes
with
do you
you there.
have?
Let's count. They're right behind me. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the 10th one downstairs. Actually, I have an 11th one over there. My dev console GameCube is over there on my side table over there. I own 11 GameCubes at this time, Shivam.
Why?
It's
I mean, I
um
get it. People got to collect something.
exactly why GameCubes. This is kind of weird, but Cal backstory. I grew up without not a lot of money in the middle of nowhere, Michigan, just like cornfields, USA, Michigan. And late in the GameCube's life, I got my very first game console, the GameCube, from my parents as the big birthday gift for all three of us. And I played the GameCube a lot. I loved the GameCube. It's stuck with me ever since. And then uh, basically, I had bought a second GameCube because I had like bought a special one because I liked it so much. And then once I had two of them, I had the opportunity to buy a really rare one, this red one right here, Char's GameCube from Gundam. Um, I had an opportunity to buy like a rarer one for cheaper, complete in box. That's the box up there. Um, and then and then it just kind of spiraled out of there. I was like, you know what? I really do like the GameCube. I could collect the GameCube. And now I have a lot of GameCubes, Shiva.
The problem with GameCubes is that
Yes.
you can play one GameCube.
Well, yeah, and you can play one Magic the Gathering deck at once, Shiva.
You shut your mouth right now.
Well, I mean, yeah. Obviously, this is not a visual podcast, but I'm scanning
Yeah,
my
bro, I can see.
camera over to the other
You have
half
a
of my
lot of
desk, which is
monitors.
actually covered with Magic the Gathering
I
cards.
mean, I could do the same.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But yes, I do
Yes,
have a
for the
lot of
viewers at
monitors.
home, we just sat and pointed our cameras at our in progress stacks
Yeah, exactly. That's what
because
it is.
every good Magic player just got a crap ton of cards on their desks that are like, that's really going into a desk, I promise.
Yep.
Or the worst is these, what are these 75 cards? Oh, they're the things I cut from the last deck. They're
I
just sitting here staring at me. It's like,
Did
God.
you? I tweeted about this the other day, but I found out that I hadn't had Veil of Summer in my Malcolm Tana deck for a while, and both of my Veil of Summers were just sitting in one of my big piles on my desk. When I swapped out my original foil for like the new Secret Lair one, swapped out quote quote.
Hmm.
What I did is accidentally leave
Just took it
both
out
of them
entirely.
on my desk. I took out the old one, left the new one on my desk, and eventually they both just got like shuffled into a pile on my desk. But yes, I can only play one GameCube at once. Um, I have two hooked up in my house. I can play two GameCubes at
You
once.
know, the coolest time I ever had GameCube, my friend invited a whole bunch of us over to bring our TVs and everybody to bring their GameCubes and Game Boys. And we sat and we had a 16 player Double Dash game with 4 linked TVs and like the whole thing. And it was just,
That's
it
my
was,
that's my
no,
dream.
8 TVs, 2
Yep.
cubes per TV.
Yep.
It was one of the
Yep.
coolest things we've ever done.
Yep. That's my dream, Shiva. The problem now is that the broadband adapters for the bottom of the GameCube, so you can like
Like,
LAN stuff together,
yeah,
those are $100 a pop now.
yeah. It's
So
like,
I'm like, if I ever become really flush with money, I can invest $1,600 into GameCube broadband adapters
for the
and have the
one time
time of my life.
to play Double Dash one time.
Exactly. Maybe get a decent tax return in, buy them all, do it, resell them
Yeah,
all.
right. Exactly. Go back to eBay immediately tomorrow. But I don't know. Like I didn't like the GameCube very much. It was in college when it came out. I mean,
Yep.
I liked Sunshine a lot, and then I liked
Yeah,
Eternal Darkness. That
that is also
was
a very cool video game.
and because like I got by a lot of the. Well, actually, it was weird because we were playing with a wireless controller, and it had your controller's been disconnected. I'm like, aha! It can't be. There's no cord.
You didn't
I
fool
got
me.
you.
Yes, I
It,
think there are definitely reasons that the GameCube did not succeed very well on the mass market. But
we all like things that don't succeed on the mass market. That's
exactly.
kind of just me and Mahmoudi Jins.
Let me tell you about Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, talking about things that are failing on the mass market, right? Um, and geez, dude, is there anything on your mind that you wanted to talk about?
Shivam, these days, not really. Being a content creator, being a podcaster can be a lot of work. That's
It
that's
is
what
a
I've been thinking
s
about recently.
it is ridiculous amount of work. I mean, I don't like to talk about it very often, except I do, but I don't like to talk about it because it feels very like people get like, "Oh, listen to the
For
podcast and
sure.
cry about having to
Well,
talk all day." I'm like,
exactly.
"No,
Well,
the
here's the problem, Shiva. I just got done with my 9 to 5 job.
fair."
And here I am. No, I kid, I kid.
Yeah,
But
well, I mean,
no,
the
I try
worst
not to talk about that too much either.
the worst thing is trying to find guests,
Yeah,
and if
no,
Twitter
sure.
goes
Yeah.
away, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Exactly. 100%.
Yeah, it's gonna be
It's
weird.
finding guests is hard, scheduling is hard, editing is hard.
Yeah, it's a lot more work than people think it is, and it's, like, very complicated, but you know what? Before Twitter goes away, we're still there and we are still degenerate enough to be there all day, every day. So if people wanted to find you or your videos or things that we didn't talk about because I was just rant mode today, where would they go?
I can see the title of the episode already. Shivam
Shivam yells at
ranting.
Cal.
Cal is also here.
Cal is also here.
Yeah, if you want to get a chance of me ranting, not really, I try not to do that too much. You can find me at mtgcal on twitter.com. Of course, as Shiva alluded to multiple times and I talked about a bit, I am a part of the Playing with Power YouTube channel, Playing with Power MTG on YouTube, where we play cEDH games, and that's also where the podcast that I run is published occasionally. That means every 2 weeks. The Playing with Power podcast. It's my baby. I love it so much. And that's that. I don't know. I'm technically on TikTok,
TikTok.
the
Yeah.
Bird app.
I guess, I mean, I should try the talks and the takes, but I'm just too old for this.
Yeah,
Um,
no, me too. I feel too old for TikTok, and I'm like a social media guy.
yeah, right? It's just like,
That's my
it's so
thing.
much work.
Exactly. It's
And
way
you
too
have
much
to
work. I'm not
make
built
a
for
video.
video.
I don't know. I might though next year. I might start actually doing these video style because I've been watching Humans
Yeah.
of Magic, and I've been like, oh, if he can do it, why can't I? I'm not gonna let James beat me on everything.
Yeah.
Boy, if you
James
want
does a good
inside
job.
baseball, you know what? I'll save that one for offline. But you can always find me at Gear Pretty Gears. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are sold, or at Cool Stuff Inc. every Tuesday, or at YouTube every Thursday. Thank you, EK. And remember, my friends, it is not magic without the gathering, and we will see you next time.